4 teams, 5 perspectives, 1 division, 1 war room. Welcome to West War Room Rivals, your home for everything AFC West. From breaking news and game day analysis to heated debates, bold predictions, and unforgettable guests. This is West War Room Rivals, where rivals collide. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. It is Wednesday night, which means it is West War Room Rivals night. I've got almost everybody here. We're missing Matt, of course. Shout out to Matt for holding it down in the Navy. If you guys are in the active service, we appreciate you guys for protecting us. Matt, we miss you, buddy. But I've got just about everybody here. So we got Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers rep, of course, me as the Raider. We weren't full last night. We just had a guys' night. But Ethan, you were out braving the elements in New York. Did you guys find shelter? Were you guys okay over there?
Yeah, we were all good. It was crazy, though. I was staying in Brooklyn, and there was like large flooding.
Okay.
And then there was a tornado. I was in the Met at the time, so I was in Central Park, but apparently a tornado started at the edge of Central Park while I was there and didn't even notice.
So I was saying when you text us, I was like, oh, this is kind of like that one apocalyptic movie in New York where they had the tsunami. I think Day After Tomorrow is what Corey had said it was. And I was like, I don't know why. That's the first thing I thought is like, he's going to be like in the middle of this swelter. Like he's not getting out of this.
What's the found footage movie that happens in New York of like the big monster that like
Godzilla?
Not Godzilla. No, it's Cloverfield. That's
Cloverfield.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of as I was doing it. It's just kind of wild, like because I was in LA during the fires last year.
Oh, that's right. Did you experience having to be evacuated, or were you not close enough to it?
Yeah. Well, so we weren't mandatory evacuation. We were in a voluntary evacuation, basically. Right. So where I live in Santa Monica, Palisades is over here, like up on the mountains, and then I live in the neighborhood of Santa Monica across from it.
Yeah.
And so the fire department was watching if it would jump that valley. If it had jumped that valley, it would have burned down pretty much the entire city of Santa Monica. Luckily, it didn't. But I was about 5 blocks away from there, so we were in what's called a voluntary zone.
Right. Well, I mean, that Palisade one lasted, what was it, a couple of months at least. Like that entire community is now gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad. I know people whose houses got burned down, who lost all those things. It's incredibly sad. Yeah. But I feel fortunate. I voluntarily evacuated to San Diego.
Yeah.
Was last night your first tornado experience?
Yeah, I've never been under tornado watch. I don't really even know what to do. The only time I've probably really ever seen a tornado was during the movie Twisters with Glenn Powell last year.
It's a great movie. Well, the original one in the 90s.
Sequel. I've also seen the 90s one. I just more recently just saw the one with Glenn Powell last year.
I just picture a bunch of New Yorkers out there like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I had some good pizza. It was a good time. Now I'm going to the Horses tomorrow in Saratoga Springs.
Very cool. All right. Well, also too, Corey and Austin were giving some tips on how to watch out for a tornado warning. So go back and watch the last night's episode for that. It's pretty self-explanatory, you know.
I did. I'm not gonna lie. So making that Ravens video, I was trying to figure out where that comment was, and so I was like watching it. And I'm like, man, where is this thing? And it turns out it was in the last like 4 minutes.
Yep.
It's like literally at the end of the show.
Yeah, we have really good tornado advice. Like that, if you need it, we got it. We're going to start charging people for it, though.
You can make a killing on it.
Start a Patreon.
There we go.
Hey.
All right. So we got an icebreaker question for you guys tonight. By the way, this episode is sponsored by, of course, EFCU and Field Ops in the corners. As you can see, we're recording out of the JBW Solutions Studios, our partners, Jeff and the crew, who's been in the comments the last few weeks. So shout out to Jeff. But we have an icebreaker question. Ethan, you kind of posed this to us. I'm going to hand it off to you. So what's the icebreaker tonight?
Yeah. So in honor of the World Cup ending, which I'm glad, I was hate watching Argentina, so I was glad to see Spain win. I really wanted England to win because I really like Jude Bellingham. But in honor of them, there was just Fanatics Fest. And at Fanatics Fest, they've unleashed the last 2 years, which are these like football, NFL, soccer inspired jerseys. So they just released all 32 of them. So I'm posing to you guys, before we get into like general thoughts, of review your own team's jerseys. So each of us represent one team. What would you score your team's jersey out of 5? We'll start with Cody, since the Raiders is probably the most boring, out of my opinion, out of the 4. But maybe he'll give it a good score. We'll see.
Yeah, no, looking at this here, out of 5.
Yeah, out of 5. Think about it like Letterbox, if you know what Letterbox is.
Yeah. Shoot, I'm going like 2.5 maybe. It's not my favorite. They could have done far better than that. I see the inspiration with the stripe on the helmet. I think they could have done much better. Yeah, 2.5 maybe. So,
all right, we'll go over to Austin.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs, I'll give it like a 4 out of 5. Do I think it could be like better? Obviously, I think the same thing with their actual NFL jerseys. Like, we kind of just stay with our reds or our whites, and that's kind of what this jersey is. We didn't stay with just a boring stripe. I think someone pointed it out. It looked like a seatbelt, so it could really be Chiefs themed. So I'll give it 4 out of 5 because I do. It's not just one boring stripe. At least they went diagonal, and it's not over the top like some of the ones we'll talk about here in a little bit.
And then we'll go over to Corey. What do you think of the Broncos?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing special. I'd say 2.5 or 3 out of 5. I mean, I get the design. I mean, it's obviously a good color scheme. It fits. But if you want deep, it's kind of plain. So, I mean, 2.5, 3, I'd still probably wear it.
Yeah, and then the Chargers, I'm going to give it 2. I don't like it. Mainly because I think it needs yellow. I feel like the Chargers' yellow accent like really makes the powder blue pop, and they basically use none of it except for in the lining. So it's just kind of like blue and white. So they went a really simple version, which the Chargers jerseys as a whole are not simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do not like them, but they're a million times better than last year's Chargers jerseys. Those are one of the most horrendous things I've ever seen. I'll put it into our group chat later.
I mean, does it trigger you that it looks like Argentina?
Yeah, that's what Austin said. So I guess I said I was hate watching Argentina. It's nothing against Messi. I wasn't hate watching because of Messi. I was hate watching because they play really dirty and then they complain a lot, and then their fans complain a lot, and so it gets annoying.
Sounds like Chiefs fans.
It can be similar, but
I mean,
we can't argue.
All right,
let's be dirty here. Like
they complain.
Oh, they're complaining.
Yeah.
I mean, every fan base has that.
What are you talking about? Raiders don't complain about nothing.
Well, yeah, you have nothing to complain about.
Yeah, there's literally
Their
no.
entire life.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, let's get into what is your favorite out of these. So if you were to buy one, which one would you most likely buy? And we'll start in reverse. So I'll start with Corey.
yeah, I was thinking about this the whole time, and I'm still going to stick with the Panthers one. I love the, Columbia blue with the black. It was very close between them or the Colts, so I'm going with the Panthers.
All right, what about you, Austin?
Yeah, it's between 2. I liked the Bucks and the Steelers. If I'm gonna have to actually buy one and like wear it, I think I'd go with the Steelers. That's Miami. It's just black and white, not boring, but also not flashy or ugly. So if I had to buy one, I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
All right, and then over to you, Cody.
I think so there's 2 that I'm eyeballing right now. One is probably the Saints one. I like a lot. I'd probably get that one. And then I'm more on the simple side, so I'm probably would go with Chicago Bears. I like how simple that is. The Chicago Bears. Yeah, I think it looks really good.
Wow, I was not prepared for that.
Yeah, I was not. We were actually talking about that before we came on camera.
What did you guys think I was gonna guess?
Oh no, we were talking about it as one of the worst jerseys. That's
really?
Yeah.
I was like, it's simple, it's clean. I like it. It's good.
Hey, that's fair. We all have different tastes. That's the whole point.
I mean, who's picking the Cardinals around here? Someone's got to do it.
Are you?
That should be like a fantasy loot, like your last place in your fantasy league. You got to rock that shirt during your draft, or you got to go out in public in that thing.
Right. All right, Ethan, what was yours?
Weirdly enough, I wasn't thinking I was gonna pick this. I kind of like Dallas's. I like the use of the stars. I think it's creative, but it's not like too over the top. I think they use the color scheme well, and I actually really like the white on the sleeve. I think it accents it well. So I like the polo part with the little bit of navy blue on the edge. So yeah, I think I would pick Dallas.
It's kind of like their old school Navy uniforms that they wear with the white sleeve.
Yeah.
Which I do like those.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a throwback, more vibe to what
Nobody's
they
going with the
currently
Ram, with the giant ass Ram.
are. No, but we can talk about least favorites. So this is probably what, because more of these are bad than they're good. So I'll open up this discussion. I'll let Austin goes first because I know what his pick is. And so
Yeah,
we'll start there and we'll just kind of open up discussion to what are the worst of these jerseys.
Yeah, it's the Texans for me. It's the multicolored. Someone said it looked like a bowling jersey. When I first saw it, I thought it looked like a clown costume type deal. Like, to me, that's just, it's gross. It's ugly. By far my least favorite one. That would be the punishment for anything. Would have to be to walk out the door with that on. So for me, it was the Texans one. I don't like the multicolored like that.
We'll go over to Corey. Corey, what is your least favorite?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the Cardinals.
That's
I mean,
horrible.
yeah, it's so bad. Like their franchise.
Yeah.
Cody, I don't think you can laugh at that comment.
Speaking of Cody,
There's going to be a toilet bowl with the Raiders and Cardinals coming up very quickly in the season, I believe.
Well, I think I would like to think that you guys would choose out of the jerseys, definitely not the
Sneak
Cardinals
peek,
one.
we'll have weekly pick'ems. Well, you'll find out who will choose.
Yeah.
No, have you ever seen, this is off topic and then we'll get back into it, but on Twitter, every draft season, there's always like, you know what, for the first overall pick, they should have the worst two teams play each other and whoever loses gets the first pick.
I mean, that would be, I don't know. I think it'd be a good game. And it's just like, would it be a good game because you're not really trying to win, but you hate losing?
See, I think the winner should get the first pick.
So I've seen
That
some
way you're not
leagues.
tanking.
I've seen some leagues now where, like, if you do a physical activity to get a draft pick, or they get to choose which pick they want first rather than they get first overall. So, like, 1 year, Drew, he had his son at the time, I think was 2, run like 20 yards, and whoever guessed the time got to pick wherever they want, right? And so the guy that gets the first right answer never picks number 1 because no one really wants the number 1 overall pick. They pick like 4th or 5th or whatever, and then you let them pick their own draft order from that way. I've seen that before.
You would definitely want the first pick in the NFL because they're not snake drafting. That would be wild.
If they were
Right.
snake drafting, that'd be crazy.
We should petition to have that happen. That'd be kind of cool.
No,
Not only did you win the
that would
Super
get
Bowl,
rid of
but
parity in the league.
that would definitely
Yeah.
get rid of a lot of things.
you won the Super Bowl and you get picks 32 and 33. So
I would get rid of
that
a
would
lot
be
of it.
wild.
Well,
But yeah,
plus the team picking first overall would then pick last of the second
Yeah.
round.
They would be so pissed. They're already mad. They're like, now we have to wait this. What?
hey, you want to stop tanking in sports? Huh?
Right?
Yeah.
For those that are like middle of the pack, they'll just always stay middle of the pack.
Yep.
Pretty much. All right, we'll get back on topic. Cody, what is your least favorite?
It's the Cardinals. It looks like, I can't tell if it's like bathroom tile or tire treads on this jersey. It has nothing to do with the Cardinals. This is awful.
Fun fact, it's shit stains. Like someone took their hand, smeared it all over it.
It is it is terrible. This is crazy.
Ethan, what about you?
All right, so I'm gonna do a dual answer because I want to say something different. I agree with those are the worst two, but I think both the Giants and Rams are horrendous with the giant logo in the middle when they already have the logo like up on. Like I just can't. Those other two, like I could conceivably like think of maybe like a fan would wear it because it's like, oh, I want to support my team, but like who would ever wear this anywhere? Especially the Rams one of like
Fanatics.
Yeah.
Ethan. Fanatics would.
Luckily, we're not sponsored yet, so I'm allowed to say what I want.
But Fanatics, if you want.
Yeah,
Give us a
give us a
call.
call, and I'll tell you that the jerseys are great, and everyone should buy
At least
them.
we picked some good ones on here that we liked. We didn't just
Yeah.
sit here and roast it the whole time. So Fanatics.
But it's the same with NFL jerseys. Like Nike, if you want to sponsor us, cool. But like there are some bad jerseys out there. Well, is it Nike still? Is it Reebok?
Oh, it's Nike.
Okay.
It's
It's been
Nike.
Reebok for like 30 years.
Well, which was it Fanatics that did the MLB jerseys last season?
So,
And they look
yeah.
like junior, like
I'm
Jimmy
trying not to
T-ball
talk.
Yeah,
jerseys?
let's not get too deep into. Let's not get too deep.
I don't want to talk too bad.
Into this, along with
well-
the NHL jerseys and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. But yeah, we won't get too deep into this.
Well, this was my foyer into hosting. I will now pass it back over to Cody. Cody, please take back over.
I love it. We need to do the openers again. All right, guys. So this week we are doing pass rushers. So we're including the defensive ends, interior linemen as well. So obviously this is probably Austin's favorite position to talk about. So we're going to let the Chiefs fan kick off his review of his team's pass rush being of the middle and of the end. And then we're going to go through the rest of the division, of course. So Austin, go ahead and kick us off with your team.
Yeah, I don't know if this is my favorite to talk about as far as my own team goes. Like, yes, I'm a Myles Garrett guy, but Chiefs don't have anything as a collective unit that was close to that, honestly.
Myles Garrett probably had more sacks himself than the Chiefs did.
Honestly, yeah, Chiefs were bottom like 5 in sacks last year, which the year before was up in the 50s. But, I mean, the pass rush, again, it starts with Chris Jones in the middle. That's where it's started, ended for the last, decade now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really good pass rusher. He's not a good run defender. He makes splash plays, but not consistent plays there. George, with the advanced analytics, he's probably listed a little better than the naked eye would say. His sack number was down last year. We learned after the season it's because he played through a broken thumb. His pressures and QB hits and stuff were still there. It just didn't have the sack numbers. Kind of middle of the pack run defender. But they brought some youth in this year with R. Mason Thomas, Pete Woods, veteran addition with Tonga, hoping a nice leap from Gelati. So there is some potential there. Again, last year was kind of an outlier. Like ever since Spags has been here, Chiefs have been able to generate pressure, to generate sacks, and that wasn't quite the case last year. I think Chris Jones led us with, I want to say, like 7.5 sacks, and then George Karlaftis had 6, and I think that literally accounts for over half of the team sacks. So it wasn't good. Felix Anaduki, whatever, FAU, as a first-round pick.
Emphasis on Dookie.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't panned out. They played him a couple snaps in the Super Bowl against the Niners, and he actually made a couple really good plays. But then, the injuries kind of knocked him off last year. So maybe he'll get a chance to see some snaps, but it's really going to depend on the youth. Is Peter Woods, is R. Mason Thomas, is Gelati going to take a leap year to kind of take pressure off and make things easier for Chris Jones and Karlaftis? Like, those are your 2 big money guys. Like, you gave them contracts. They are making money. At the end of the day, production from other people would be nice. I mean, Mike Dana played, I don't remember how many snaps for the Chiefs last year and didn't even generate a pressure. Like,
Jeez, really?
Yeah, not a single pressure.
I don't know that. Jeez.
Yeah, it like,
Legend.
Yeah. So, and that was kind of an outlier because he had been kind of consistent, opposite of Chris and George and all that, but you can't have that. So some production elsewhere would be nice. But in the end, these dudes need to make life easier for Chris Jones and Karlaftis to do their thing, because that's where the pass rush begins and ends as far as the D-line goes. We'll talk next week about some of the Spags blitzes and stuff, but as far as, just generating pressure up front, it's all Chris Jones and Karlaftis. So if Pete Woods can help out, Tonga, R. Mason Thomas, maybe they'll get back to their ways. But last year was embarrassing. I think everyone blames the offense and everything for their struggles, but getting off the field on 3rd down and pass rush, which are kind of 2 of the same thing, they were god awful in last year. So this unit as a whole has to be better. Because if it's the same as it was last year, they're not going to have a turnaround that a lot of people are thinking. So reality is Chiefs don't have a good pass rush coming off of last year. Is it because they're older, injuries, whatever the case may be? But as a unit, they weren't productive and good last year. So They have to take a huge step forward if they want to have success, especially with the young secondary. What can help the young secondary? Pass rush. So they're going to have to step up. This is the unit of the whole football team that'll have the most eyes on it, at least for me. If they don't perform, we don't perform.
Oh, no.
I'm so heartbroken for you guys.
I have a question for you.
All right.
So Leo Chenault was probably your best designer rusher. How do you think they kind of replicate that production by letting him go?
Yeah, he was a weird one. I love Leo Chenault, but he also wasn't a great actual pass rusher. He was the athlete they would kind of send on a blitz. He was the one who they would use as a QB spy. I don't know if you really can replicate it. Honestly, I mean, just the athlete he was built like a linebacker and ran like a safety and covered like an offensive lineman. As far as that goes, I think the safety room's a little deeper to where one of those may come down and play that kind of, we'll call it the hybrid role. But also Jeffrey Bassa, who I thought was a steal a couple years ago, he's got the athleticism. So I think he might get the first crack at trying to replicate what Leo Chenault did. Jeffrey Bassa, I don't remember the round we drafted him, but out of Oregon, very athletic linebacker, and they may be able to utilize him more than Leo because he can pass coverage.
And Norman Lott.
He's D-tackle.
Oh, yeah.
But Bassa, he can actually cover, so they may actually be able to utilize him more than Leo Chenault. So my best guess would be Jeffrey Bassa if he gets a crack at it because he's next man up. We didn't sign linebackers. We didn't draft linebackers, so next man up, and it's him.
Do you think you guys are going to address it in some form of free agency? You guys are going to let it roll with how it is on the field? Do you think there's any major change that the Chiefs are looking to do to create more competition, maybe add in depth?
I don't think so. I think if they add anything to this team at all, it'll be on the offensive side. Depth receiver, depth offensive lineman, veteran offensive lineman. I think the defensive roster is set. I think Bassa will get the first crack, but again, our safeties are kind of deep. We signed, I can never say his name, Alani Gilman. Is that it?
Alohi Gilman.
Alohi Gilman, yeah. Then we drafted Kennedy out of Oregon, who's kind of a safety corner hybrid. And then we still have Hicks and we still have Connor. So I think they'll play some of that linebacker, in a nickel package or something. So I don't think the Chiefs address linebacker depth or anything defensively really between now and the beginning of the season.
Okay. All right. So I guess going over to the Raiders here.
Wait, before we move on, can I ask one more Chiefs question?
No.
Sure.
So with the loss of Trent McDuffie in the secondary as a whole, so there's a lot talked about in the NFL that secondaries definitely benefited from pass rush. With the pass rush of the Chiefs not being the strong suit, them not having a proven premium talent like Trent McDuffie is, I'm not saying that they don't have one.
Right.
How do you expect that to affect the corner room if the pass rush isn't getting home as much as it probably should?
Well, I think the lack of pass rush will just make coverage harder, but I also think that's going to make their learning curve harder. Because we are extremely young in the secondary. I mean, Noel Williams will be a second-year guy. Delane, rookie, obviously. Kristen Fulton. I mean, he's experienced, but he's also hurt a lot. We did bring L'Jarius Sneed back. If he stays healthy, he at least knows the system. So I actually like the corner room, but again, and I'm not saying this is why PS2 and Riley Moss are good, but part of what makes those defenses like the Texans and Broncos good is because they have elite secondaries and pass rush. But I think they go hand in hand. You take that elite pass rush off the Texans, Stingley and Lassiter maybe look a little more human. I mean, not a lot of corners can cover for 7-8 seconds. They know a quarterback hits that drop and has to throw it. And that's part of what Chiefs have had success with Spags in recent years, right? Those timely blitzes, those timely pass rushes. it just didn't happen last year. They couldn't get pass rush. They couldn't get off the field on third down. They were a bend but don't break, and that's why they were 1-9 in one-score games, because they couldn't get off the field like they used to. So I think a lack of pass rush, especially in the Chiefs' case, more than a lot. I got to be honest, last time a secondary was probably this young was probably Chiefs in 2022 when they were starting 3 rookies with Williams, Watson, and McDuffie. But we had an elite pass rush then. So being that young again, I think the whole defensive success rides on this unit, and I think that's the unit I'm going to be watching on the most.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I would say something pretty similar. All right, Cody, you can go on to the Raiders now.
It shouldn't take very long.
Yeah. So, anyways, Max Crosby. All right, next team.
There you go.
Yeah. So,
end of story.
Yeah, pretty much. So, of course, as the offseason played out, Raiders traded Max Crosby to the Ravens. They decided to back out of it. We have him back. We've added a bunch of key players to the defensive side of the ball. Kwity Paye is one of them. Obviously, we re-signed Malcolm Kuntz. We added Max Crosby to a defensive end and defensive line that obviously is going under new stewardship with Rod Leonard as the defensive coordinator. This Raiders line is, to say a project is an understatement. Since 2021, when they made the wild card, they've only had one season where they had more than 40 sacks. And literally the year after, they had 46, which was the high that they had. And that was during the season that they actually had AP take over. Literally the very next season, they only had 27 sacks total. So this pass rush is not great. Max Crosby is the only one. He, I think, had 10 sacks last season before the Raiders shut him down for like the final 4 or 5 games of the season. However, now with the Raiders secondary that's been upgraded slightly, I think this new energy of coaching, a lot of the problem with the Raiders line is it's undersized. Like Max Crosby, 6'5", is probably the biggest guy that they have. They have some guys that are about 6'3"-ish, but they're not as big bodied as some. Like the Chiefs usually are pretty good about having a really large front. The Broncos are notorious for having very strong front sevens. Chargers, even last season, they had a very strong front. So the Raiders are always seeming to play with no sense of pressure in the middle, which allows secondaries to fall apart, because you can't hold a pass rush for very long to where your cornerbacks are essentially having to cover everybody for 50 yards, and then so much can happen along the way. But I think some encouraging things there are some rookies that we did pick up. There is one in particular that's making a lot of noise in camp right now, which I kind of foreshadowed a couple of weeks ago when we were highlighting offensive side. But Cade Stone, who was out of NC State, was signed as undrafted free agent. He's making a lot of noise right now in Raiders camp about the reps, about the energy, and it's getting very similar to like the same motor that Max Crosby has. And I'm not saying that he's going to be a Max Crosby. It's just the energy and the effort that Max puts out. Stone puts out very similar effort, which is getting a lot of noise in camp to where they think he's going to make the 53 and actually be in the rotation, just based off of early reports right now in minicamp. So again, still have a long ways to go, because we have, 4 weeks of training camp to go before we get to preseason and all that stuff. So there are some positives about that. One of the things about the Raiders switching to a 3-4 defense is you have to have a beefy front. We don't necessarily have that quite yet. It's a work in progress. I think our biggest guy in the front is Adam Butler, and then you have Thomas Booker, the fourth, opposite of him. Bit undersized for the position, but I think this is one of the things about a Rob Leonard defense is you're going to have to get to the quarterback quickly, because you're not going to rely on them to bulldoze their way through the line, especially with mobile quarterbacks that everyone in the division has. Once they get outside the pocket and we have to chase you down, it's going to be very, very difficult to get a sack or get to the quarterback. And that's why a lot of the reasons the Raiders on third down just don't rise to the occasion, because when you get a mobile quarterback that moves the pocket just enough to where the Raiders aren't in line to get you, that play extends. And once the Raiders allow you to get past third down and get another series, we allow them to score almost every time. I think the percentages was 80% when a team gets their second series on the Raiders. There's an 80% chance of them scoring, whether it be field goal or a touchdown. So those are opportunities that Rob Leonard needs to capitalize on. But again, us relying on a Max Crosby coming off of a knee injury on a prove-it year. It's going to be a very interesting defense that the Raiders put out because it's very young. It's a lot of makeshift parts, and it's a new defense that Rob Leonard is introducing. So I'm not saying this is the best defense that you'll ever see. I'm not even saying it's the worst, but I definitely don't see this defense as being the reason why Raiders win games. They may also blow a lot of opportunities. They may allow some easy points to go on because this defense has a lot of question marks behind it. If the secondary stays healthy, we have a shot to be competitive in that sense. But as far as the front, we have a lot of work and a lot of opportunity to be better. Certainly not amongst the division, just as a unit. We have to literally play above what our capabilities are. So that's the Raiders. That's the Raiders' front defense and edge pressure, essentially, that the team has.
Nice thing is, the only way you can go is up.
Right.
And that's not even necessarily that's just your defense as a whole. I mean, you guys brought some good veteran presence in there, and obviously this is the line that we're going to focus more on, But I think the biggest thing you guys need to do is, and I don't think it's going to happen this season, is get the double teams away from Max Crosby. Like, they're going to keep putting extra help over there. They're going to keep chipping him because there's no one else on that line that they can get. So that, I mean, yes, his pressures are there. The sack numbers are not as good as the 14.5 sack season he had a few years ago, but I think you can kind of tell that it's declining because they continue to put the chips over on that side. Wherever Max is, we know where 98's at. We know where 98's at. The quarterbacks are very fully aware of that. They'll shift it to where it needs to go. So until that happens, I just don't see this getting any better.
Unless you play the Patriots, then they'll never adjust to that side.
That's true. That's why you beat the Patriots.
That's right.
Just kidding.
A reminder. No, it's not a joke. We beat them last year. Just a reminder.
I think my question is, and I think it's why I'm more happy with the Chiefs defensive line upgrades than most, is because I like to be strong up the middle. And I think that's where Chiefs definitely addressed.
Tonga.
Do you think up the middle? Now we're removing like Max and the edge rushers. I'm talking interior. I know you said it may not be the best or the worst, but your interior might be one of the worst, right? Like, if you're removing edges, like, does that concern you at all?
It absolutely does, because in free agency, 2 positions I even talked about on the show that I wanted the Raiders to address was linebacker for sure. We haven't had a solid Mike linebacker, so we got 2.
And you guys
are
strong up the middle there, so that's good.
Yeah, but the second one was our defensive tackles, because what we had with Adam Butler and with Thomas, and Thomas is really aggressive, high motor. Butler, though, was very hit and miss, inconsistent. And I was looking for us to get a defensive tackle that was really going to put a lot of energy and take up a lot of space, so to speak, in the middle. Like, even some mock drafts that we did during draft season, I would have loved for the Raiders to go after like a Peter Woods, who's very big, taking up a lot of space, be very powerful. That's what that 3-4 defense needs. We look like a defense that's transitioning to 3-4. We just haven't committed to the big bodies up front. And we're really relying on those edges to get home quickly. And I just don't know if those fronts are going to collapse like the front of a good offensive line enough to allow the edges to come around. That's what I'm really, really concerned with. That's why, like, honestly, like, if we have a rush right now against either one of these 3 teams on the screen, Chiefs included, like, those fronts aren't really going to get home very much. And these quarterbacks, again, are going to move the pocket to get the ends out of the way. And then it's just free reign, and cornerbacks can't keep up with 10-second routes in that sense. Like, they're going to get lost really quickly, and that's how the defensive suffers. So the front is definitely a concern, and I'm hoping that we address it maybe in next draft when a class comes out. But that was one of the things that I wish we would have done a better job at addressing.
Yeah, and even in this division, we know at least 2 of the coaches are going to run the football.
Yeah.
Between Sean Payton, Davis Webb and Mike McDaniel, Jim Harbaugh-led team. They're going to run the ball. Chiefs added Kenneth Walker, so you think they're going to run the ball a little bit more. So that's where, yes, you guys stronger up the middle with linebackers, but do you have the beef on the line that are going to maintain those blocks to let those linebackers eat? So I think watching Raiders defensively, I think that's where I think there could be some issues, is in the middle, up the middle, around the middle type deal. So yeah, no. And if it makes you feel any better, Raiders had more sacks than the Chiefs last year.
That does make me feel a little bit better. Thank you.
There you go. I wanted no crash outs.
No, we're all good. I think what's interesting is I can see a scenario where the Raiders maybe put a solid team. I wouldn't say great, but a solid team. They're not bad. They're not terrible. Middle of the pack. Like they just need a couple of pieces to attract free agents that fit that dynamic in the defensive scheme to sign them. Because I think obviously the Raiders blew a lot of their budget when it came to like Linderbaum. We oversigned for these linebackers that we desperately needed. Fill in the blank on some of these other players, like kind of overpaying a little bit for Jalen Naylor, but hey, you got to get a quality receiver to get a quality receiver. But I think like we had to like be short and
used gingerly there, but okay.
Yeah. I'm really stretching out quality there. Just let me live a little bit. Okay. But anyways, I feel like, again, that was some of the things we had to sacrifice. And I think part of what the Raiders were wanting to do in the draft was get one of these high-end defensive tackles. But again, it was a hot commodity during the draft. They pivoted a lot when a couple of things didn't fall their way. And the first round didn't even go what we figured, which I think is a lot of the teams pivoted away from that. And so, again, I think the Raiders are probably going to look at that position next offseason by trying to get some free agents that are on prove-its or whatnot. But we'll see, because again, the interior middle of that defense where you need the big bodies are at, we're not necessarily there. And that's going to be our biggest weakness.
Losers.
Yeah, I can't say when Chiefs were 3-4, our big bodies were Glenn Dorsey, Tyson Jackson, Ryan Sims. So I can't speak too much to that, but yeah, you got to have big bodies up there in a 3-4.
100%. All right, next one up, Chargers.
Wait, Cody, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So first I have a comment, which is I've noticed what you like out of your offensive line and defensive linemen. You like big dudes. Because you've commented on both the Raiders' offensive line and their defensive line that they're not big enough.
They're very undersized. That concerns me. I don't mind athleticism, but at the end of the day, like you got to be able to be a tree trunk, so to speak, and just stand your ground. And unfortunately, when you're undersized, you give up a lot when it comes to like pressure and all that stuff. That's why that's a big emphasis for me.
Okay, now really my main point, and this can be a bigger discussion for everyone. We talked about Max Crosby, but we didn't address the elephant in the room, that he has gotten worse over the last 3 years. So from 2021 to 2023, he had 90 plus pressures every season.
Mm-hmm.
In his last two, he hasn't gotten over 65. He missed 4 games in 2024. He missed 2 games last year, and he only ended up with 53 pressures. Is this a concern? He's supposed to be this elite. He's basically the only horse they have right now.
Which is why he's getting the doubles and triple teams.
He's
and
a product of a bad team.
That's all this is. I still think he's there. I think
who else was on the team back in 2021, 2022, 2023?
Well, yeah, like Chandler Jones.
That guy was
Christian Wilkins at one point was there.
He was there for
1 year.
games. For 2 games. No, not 1 year, 2 games. He had a foot injury. I want to say it was against the Ravens. That was I do remember this because it was it the Ravens or the Dolphins? I think this was actually with the Dolphins. Now I'm thinking about it. It was in week 2, broke his foot, out for the year. The following off season, there was all that rumor about him kissing a teammate, and then he was booted off the team. Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah, he was
I
booted
imagine
off.
The 21 to 23 teams had more talent than the last couple of years Raiders.
Well,
I can't name players, but I'm confident in that.
Well, and I understand what Ethan is getting at, because the year where Max Crosby had a lot of the pressures, and I think he had 14 and a half sacks, that was the AP season where they had 46 sacks. Essentially, the defenses were winning those games. It certainly wasn't the offense. And then following that, you had, obviously, we still had Patrick Graham as the defensive coordinator, but you had like worse talent going there. So you had more double teams going to Max. Max, I think, was fighting, I think it was a foot injury and an ankle injury in 2024, which is why I think he missed 6 games, if I'm quoting you right, Ethan. And then the following year, which was last year, he was out for partial knee injury and then officially shut down 2 games later, but he had nobody opposite of him. Like Malcolm Koonce was the only one. He also was coming off of an ACL injury the year prior. I think it was
Swing and
Kayshawn,
miss on Tyree Wilson.
right? Kayshawn, who is now with the Patriots or was last season. He was opposite of Max Crosby during his 14 and a half sacks. So that he was actually really good bringing pressure. So of course, when you don't have those athletic bodies around to help Crosby, it's, he's the only thing the defensive worries about. That's why for the Raiders defense, that's why I wish if they were going to commit to big players up front, they would do that, because I feel like that would benefit Max, because Max is the only high motor guy. And technically Max is undersized for his position as well. Like he's 240, maybe 6'5". So he's tall, lengthy, and strong. But like, look at, Myles Garrett, who's a beast. You look at Nick Benito, who's really large. Like these guys are bigger and a little stronger. And Max, in a way, is like going off a high motor and energy, which is how he's able to get around and stop the run. But if you focus on him or you misdirect the play, he's not going to get these pressures. He's not going to get these tackles for loss, because that's essentially what he's known for. But I think this is where like the additional bodies that the Raiders added after thinking they traded Max Crosby, and then you added Max Crosby, I'm curious to how this defense now will respond to that. But again, like Rob Leonard has been with Max his whole career. So I'm curious if he dials up stuff that gets him into space. They move him around. They don't just have him on one side, one-on-one with somebody, because that's also really hard to do.
That's fair. I mean,
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Cool. Chargers. Ethan, you're up.
All right. So Chargers pass rush room. This is probably the best room they have on the team. And this is probably the one I can pretty much confidently say they probably have the best room in overall. I'll start off with the premier guy, which is Tuli Tuipulotu. Tuli Tuipulotu is 23 years old.
God bless you.
During the year, he will be having his 24th birthday. When he was drafted, he was 20 years old. He had his 21st birthday during his rookie season. Every single year he's got better. His first year, he had 6 sacks. Last year, he had 8.5. And then moving on to 2024, he had 13. He rose up to 70 pressures, 20 tackle for losses. He is your premier guy. He is the dude who you're building around. The question is whether he's an edge one or not is a totally different debate. He's going to be paid like one, but he's not going to get the Myles Garrett or just massive $40+ million contract. But moving down, then the complete opposite is we have Khalil Mack, one of the oldest pass rushers in the league, who is still highly productive and is chasing not just individual records. He's chasing all-time records to just make his Hall of Fame resume better and better and better. The question with him now becomes whether he retires a Charger or if he goes back to the Raiders or Bears, because he's now played the longest as a Charger.
hell yeah.
He's now had 5 seasons here. He had 4 with the Raiders, 4 with the Bears. So that question becomes, last year he had 5.5 sacks. He had 6 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, but he did miss 4 games. So that is to be factored in. He's also he played the least amount of snaps per season he ever had. So his snap count is also going down. Now, big departure out of this group is Odafe Oweh. Odafe Oweh was traded. He had 9.5 sacks if you include the playoff game, which we're having our Patriots fan in the comment going through. He knows Odafe Oweh very, very well because he made Drake May's life miserable during that game. And he led all the pundits to talk about whether Drake May is good in the playoffs, which was still not proven all the way to the Super Bowl. And so the Chargers let Odafe Oweh go away. They're going to get a comp pick next year of a 3rd-round pick, and they replace him with Akeem Mesidor. Akeem Mesidor is 25 years old. He is 6'2", 272. He has been in the college for a long time. He was one of those COVID players. He was actually a defensive tackle. So he was a rotational defensive tackle, came to the Miami Hurricanes, and they converted him to edge rusher. So last year, it was his first year at edge, and he was extremely dominant. Fernando Mendoza has fond memories of Akeem Mesidor, as in the national championship, he had 3 sacks and a forced fumble. But his total is he had 12.5 sacks in college. He had 17.5 tackles for loss last year. He was pretty much a monster. Now, I just highlighted those 3 guys. Now I'm going to go through strengths of the room, and then I'll talk about some of the smaller guys just so you know. strengths of this edge room, they all have inside out and flexibility. They are going to be able to be manipulated all throughout the line. Akeem Mesidor is a formal defensive tackle. Tuli Tuipulotu also played defensive tackle at USC. Khalil Mack is notorious for making guards' life miserable. They are going to be able to mix and match, going against centers, going against guards, going against tackles, all the way around. They just, at the top, they have 3 dudes. It's much harder to say it more plainly than that. They have 3 major players. Now, the top end talent is really the question here, but they have 3 guys who can rush the passer and can do it consistently. They also have ascending pass rushers. Akeem Mesidor has only been doing this for a year. You expect him to take a step. Tuli Tuipulotu has gotten better every single year he's been in the league. Khalil Mack is not an ascending player. If I'm being honest, he's on the descending side of his career. But what better mentor can you have for these 2 players than Khalil Mack, who's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best pass rushers of this era, probably will be on an all-decade team when all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
Weaknesses. They really don't have a speed rusher. This is probably the biggest thing, is all 3 of those guys rely on power. That's where that inside-out flexibility comes from. Like, they don't have a Nick Bonito type. They don't have somebody who's just going to destroy you off the edge like Odafe Owe did to the New England Patriots and Will Campbell in his short arms. They also have a new defensive coordinator, which can lead to different things. We don't know what it's going to look like with Jesse Minter. We don't know if Jesse Minter was really the throwing in the spice that was making this all work. Tuli might take a step back. We're not sure. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what Mesidor is going to look like. But when you look at this group, they have like 3 legit pass rushers who will get after it. Now, outside of that, some other guys that they have Bud Dupree, which he will not make the roster because I don't want to watch him anymore. I'm sick of watching that guy play football. He's so old and slow, just to be honest. They also have Nadami Tucker, who's a UDFA, who was with Chris O'Leary at Western Michigan.
Love that dude.
Nice.
So he could be a factor. I'm not really going to talk about him too much because this is kind of a crowded room and we don't really know how many they're going to take, because the last guy is probably who's going to make it, which is Kyle Kennard. Kyle Kennard was their 4th round pick last year. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He was really bad. He was pretty much inactive the entire season. I just don't see them giving up on him yet. So I got to guess he's going to be the 4th guy. That's my hunch right now. But maybe as we get closer into training camp, things will change. Maybe Tucker will take that leap forward. Tucker's also 27 years old. So there's also that factor as well. On a defensive tackle standpoint, Tier Tart is one of the best disruptors. Now, he's not a very consistent player, but disruption-wise, he makes a splash play pretty much every game. He had 15 pressures last year. He's more of a run defender than he is a pass rusher, but he does have juice. But the biggest one is Justin Aboigbe. He's your situational pass rusher. He had 6 sacks last year, 7 tackles for loss. He is usually the cleanup sack guy. If they go NASCAR package is what they called it, what Jesse Minter called it, which was the 3 edges and then Aboigbe. That's when you were in 4th and long and they just pinned their ears back and went. So yeah, that's pretty much the Chargers edge rusher room. That's their pass rush. Yeah, you guys got any questions or anything?
I want to know, who do you think is the one that's going to make the biggest impact out of the group that you just said? Like, who's the one that's going to make the difference for like this pass rush? If they're off the field, it's prevalent, and when they're on there, again, they're that difference maker. Who would you say that is?
I'm biased. I think Tuli Tuipulotu is like an incredible player, but I've liked him since he was a rookie. Mm-hmm. He's my kind of rusher, whereas he's very much in the same style of Max Crosby, of they're just hustle guys, and they're really run defenders first who win with power and can just push it back. I think he's the most difficult, but again, Akeem Mesidor might be really good. So we'll see. Right now, I'm going to say Tuli just because I think he's the premier guy. I think he can take another step. But Akeem Mesidor is a very, very talented player, and the two of them together might just be a lethal combination. But we don't know till he plays, and so I don't want to say anything too forward.
Yeah, could have worse teachers to mentor under than Khalil Mack, like you mentioned. So that's a bit unfair.
Dupree.
Yeah, that's so true.
He's been around for a while.
He's a vet.
He's still a vet.
He is. No, he is. He's 34. He's been in the league 10 years.
Hey,
well.
what? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
in the reference
old
to the
people. NFL.
So I'm undersized.
I'm
You're all about old people. Like old people can't do nothing.
I
feel
guess.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel it every day.
Right. All right. Any Shovik, you guys have anything to question or add into the Chargers front and pass rush?
No, I mean, it's not bad for the second best one in the division.
Second best.
Yes.
Well, all right. All right. Well, why don't you go ahead and tell us why you think that they're the best in the division?
Well, who? Denver?
He's obviously meaning the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep it quick and simple with the Broncos. I mean, obviously, Nick Benito's trying to establish himself as a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL. He obviously came, 9 or 10, right at one of those in the recent, I think, ESPN polls. I don't remember. I didn't pay too much attention to those, but I do have him as a top 10 guy. Now he's got to take that next step and get into the top 5. 27.5 sacks the last 2 seasons, so he's obviously gotten better each season. He's not as young, but he's gotten paid. He's doing his part. When he got drafted, I didn't think he would turn into what he has this quickly. I was happy with the pick out of Oklahoma, but to see him actually take this step and actually be that elite guy and flourished with Vance Joseph. VJ's gotten him in the right spots. He even has a pick 6. That was a crucial pick 6 for the Broncos. So yeah, that can he establish himself as a top 5 pass rusher going at the end of the season? So that'll be to be determined. What else can you say about this team? I mean, they finished with 68 sacks last year. That's 4 away from tying the record. Zach Allen did his part. Obviously, Jonathan Cooper and his situation and what happened and whatnot, he kind of tailed off the second half of the season. He started off really quick. He and Benito both started off very quick. I think Coop finished with 7 or 8 sacks. But it also helps having that, like we just said earlier with Max Crosby, right? You have the other guy on the opposite side, so that definitely helps Nick Benito out. And having guys like Zach Allen in the middle, DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach. I think guys that went under the radar was Dondre Tillman, who Denver was able to pick up out of the UFL. I don't know what it is about the UFL and Sean Payton, but Sean Payton loves these UFL guys because Denver has a few more that are coming in for training camp. But Dondre Tillman, obviously, I think led the UFL in sacks, and Sean scooped him up right away. And he's gotten more run, and he's getting more snaps. And obviously, that should expect that to go up depending on what happens with Jonathan Cooper. I'm not going to say Denver's going to release Jonathan Cooper yet, but I do think there's a suspension coming. And depending on what said suspension is, then I think that determines if, the Waltons and George and all those guys decide to get rid of Cooper or not. But I'm going based on we will have Coop at some point in the season until otherwise noted. So the guy I mentioned to you guys, a month ago when we started talking about breakout possibilities is Q Robinson. I was listening to Vance Joseph talk about him a little more. This is a guy that I think VJ wants to get a lot more run. He played the last few games and had obviously a big playoff game against New England. So that's kind of where he established himself. So look for him to get more run. Jonah Ellis could end up being the starter if Coop is in fact suspended. You could look at Jonah Ellis. They talked about moving him to inside. Now he's going to stay where he's at. Sean Payton said that, we're not going to move him. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. But yeah, I mean, again, guys, the pressures are there. Zach Allen's established himself as one of the better D tackles in the NFL. He's been up there in pressures. Also, it's been one of the best free agent signings Denver's had in a while. I know a lot of people, we love the idea that Vance brought him over when Vance came back to Denver from Arizona. That's obviously who was with J.J. Watt in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of who he worked out with, who he trained with, J.J. Watt. So, Zach Allen's been a huge staple to that defensive line. And, then obviously you draft Tyler Unum from Texas A&M. who I think is going to, I don't look at him being, an every down guy, right? We don't need that. Denver's kind of deep there. So look at him to possibly, learn, right? Doesn't get, he gets pretty good mentors there on the defensive line who you're learning from. So what Vance Joseph's been able to do with this defensive line has been incredible. It's helped out the secondary. Not that the secondary truly needs that much help. I think it's been a big benefactor to Riley Moss the most, even though he's still obviously the most targeted guy. But we'll get into secondaries later on in a couple weeks. So, I'm looking at, with what they have, I think the Cooper thing sucks, but luckily enough, they're deep enough there. So, yeah, and Uwazawari, who was suspended for the year for the gambling stuff when he was at Iowa State, he actually came on pretty good last year. Sean's talked about him a lot this offseason as well. So, again, Denver's built that depth. We talked about the depth on the offensive line. They now have that on the defensive line. Where are they weak? It's the run defense, right? Like, you can get all the quarterback pressures you want. You can do all this, but the run defense isn't very good. And they got to be better. And I think that's why you do add some of these guys that they've brought in to help with that. So, they got to take steps and take improvements on that and get that right. And I think they will because, again, continuity. Vance Joseph's back. Those guys know what Vance expects. And, again, I do think they're going to get that record this year. I think they're going to get over 72 sacks as a unit. And let's ride this out. Let's see how it goes. I mean, this is the best D-line Denver's had in a while. So here we go.
Okay. Ethan, do you have any questions to add for the Broncos?
Yeah, I have a huge one, which is something you didn't address. What about where are you going to get the production that John Franklin Myers was giving you guys? That's 40 pressures and 7.5 sacks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also, that's why you draft where you did the guy out of A&M. And you're going to have to get more production out of guys like Owezawari. You're going to have to get more out of Malcolm Roach. You're going to have to get more out of DJ Jones. I mean, Zach Allen's still there. It's going to be a multi-guy effort, and I think they did do enough to kind of address that. Savion Jones is another guy that they drafted one round or the same round that they drafted Q Robinson. He's out of LSU. He didn't get as much run last year, but I look for another young guy to step up and, show out. He's going to have to. But I think, again, it's not just one player that's going to have to do this. Like JFM was huge, and we all know how I felt about JFM. I was very open to the extension last offseason when they did Zach Allen instead. Matt and I had kind of the debate on it. I wanted JFM. He wanted Zach Allen. I think in the end it works out. But it's going to be a total team effort, and I think they know this. And I think that, it's going to take 2 or 3 of these guys to do it.
Well, I personally think DeAndre Tillman takes a lot of that.
Yep.
When he played last year, obviously he was more of a rotational than consistent snaps guy. But when he was out there, he was making plays. He had, it wasn't a thick 6, but he got that interception where he was making some moves too. But
he's trying.
I think that's where a lot of that lost production. I think Tillman definitely, he's not JFM. I'm not saying that.
We don't have a JFM. Let's be very clear. They don't have a JFM on this team, which is why I said it's going to take a couple guys.
But I do think Tillman covers a lot of that loss to where if a couple other dudes semi-pan out, it won't hurt as much. But it is a loss. I mean, I wish Chiefs had the money to where they could have gone out and got a JFM. He was one of those dudes I think a lot of teams would like to have. But, yeah, I always forget about JFM being gone. That does hurt a little bit.
And I see the comment, 72 sacks for Denver. That seems a bit much. Bro, they just had 68 sacks last year. The year before that, I believe they were also in the 60s there, too. I think they broke their own record from the previous season. So don't sit here and tell me 72 sacks is a bit much.
I think they went from like 61 to 68.
So, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Again, I am being biased, but I will sit here and say that I am very confident in what this defense has and what this defense is doing. So
he was bragging about going 3-1 against Stidham and CJ Stroud in the playoffs, though.
That's true. And again, we do love the comments. That's not us. We do love the comments.
I wanted to address that one, though.
And we're too nice to each other. Yeah, I mean, again, that's what our show's built on. Wait until the season starts. This is just preseason like stuff. So
I can promise you, me and Ethan at some point will get into it. And I only call Ethan out because he's the Chargers guy. At some
He's got-
point, Chargers guy, they're just in my path sometimes. Okay, so stay tuned. It will happen.
Oh, it's going to be testy during the regular season.
Yeah.
And shout out to Denver Trev. We follow you on Instagram. Your content's great. It's funny enough. So Corey, you mentioned about Jones, and he actually put out a video, I think, the other day saying the same thing. So anyways, appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. So,
and that's why we do this. Like, not everybody's going to know. Like, Ethan brought up a couple of the smaller names for, like, that's why we're doing this, guys. Like, we know not everyone's going to know about these smaller players that, you know, are coming in for the depth and whatnot, which is why we're doing this. And Savion Jones is one of those guys that we talked about last year. I was surprised he didn't get more run, but yeah, that's why we're here, to help educate you guys on some of these smaller things.
Ethan just educated me. He said that Kennard dude, and I swear to God, I thought he was a Lakers guard.
Now he's a Phoenix Suns guard from free agency,
okay.
But yeah, I thought the same thing.
Me too. You said that, I'm like, dude, is that correct? Like, I thought you played basketball.
Kennard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Luke Kennard who did play for the Lakers, and he was
he's on the Suns now. But I thought you like messed up the name, and so I looked. I'm like, oh, Kennard is a football player. So
yeah, I mean, he just did
educated
nothing.
me.
He just did absolutely nothing. But he somehow was the SEC Player of the Year, and fell to the
It's
fourth
wild.
round, and then got to the NFL. Like, that's what makes it so hard. Is like, I guess this will be like a little bit of a tangent, but I'll say it, is like, preseason's also really hard when you're talking about, like, especially to have animosity, because so much of this is like, I'm talking about these guys and I'm like, well, like, they haven't even gotten to training camp yet. Like,
Some of these
really
guys might not even make the team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like really hard to be like, I'm going to plant my flag that like this person is going to have a fantastic season, when it's like, then you get to the regular season and they like are inactive for 14 out of 16 weeks.
Savion Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn it. Don't be the week that he plays.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well,
or like,
and also too, if we were 4 fan bases that were going to scream and shout, we would just go read a comment section on Instagram from some post that somebody on the opposite team puts out there and tag everybody. Then we can see people screaming stuff. But like, to dive into AFC West stuff, like we have to listen to one another, and that's part of the rivalry thing. Like, we may not agree with your team, but we listen, and that's how we're educating everyone in the show.
You know, so right now it's more educational, because some of these dudes we're just learning about.
Ethan's dropping knowledge, Austin's dropping knowledge, Corey's dropping knowledge. So
yeah, when it gets to the season, that's when it'll happen, because games matter. We know the rosters, we know who's playing. We'll have action. Right now, it's more educational, guys.
the other thing is, I'm going to defend Corey for a sec. Like, the 72 sack thing, it's probably not going to happen, but what are the consequences if it doesn't? Who's going to like be like, oh, Corey, they ended up with 69. Like,
giggity.
Like, what? Who cares? I'll say the
Ravens
same thing. The
hate
Chargers are
that
going to end up with 1,000 sacks next year. You heard it here first.
Flip that.
Yeah, and it's just one of those. It's like, it's not really that much of a hot take, right? Because it's like they've been close the last couple of seasons. Like, we've been talking about it, and it's kind of one of those where it's not like, hey, they're going to actually, not only are they going to get 73, they're going to go for 80. Like, that's like, okay, let's pump the brakes on that one. Like, you know, they will definitely, yeah, they'll, like Trav said, they'll get over 65, guys. I can confidently say that.
I want to revert back to a comment Corey made during my Chiefs time. Myles Garrett only had more sacks than one entire NFL team, and it was not the Chiefs. So I just want to throw that out there.
Who was it?
It was,
I actually don't
shockingly, it was the Niners.
Yeah.
Really?
Niners had 20 sacks.
Well, yeah, I mean, as beat down as that team was,
Why Shanahan should have been coach of the year. But it is crazy to think Myles Garrett literally had more sacks than an NFL
They only
team.
had 18 sacks the entire season. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So let's just make this quick. It's getting late, and we've, you know, for us Central timers and Ethan on the East Coast as well. Who's got the best D-line? Let's just all the collective unit as a whole. And we already know it's not the Raiders, so Cody, I'm gonna let you go first.
And it's not the Chiefs. Chiefs had the least.
Cody, you weren't gonna say the Raiders. I mean, hey, maybe
You never know. You never know.
Say it, Cody.
Go for it.
Own
Cody,
it.
say it.
The Raiders. I'm
You
just
son of a
There it
bitch.
I said it.
Cody,
No.
explain. I would love for you actually
No.
take 1
No,
second.
I'm not. I don't have to.
If you say the Raiders, you have to explain yourself. Just
I don't have to do
that's for
nothing.
anybody in
He
here.
thinks 1,000 sacks is optimistic.
All
Poor
right.
guy.
Go ahead and vote along with us. Vote in the comments if you want.
Yeah. Because I said so. That's why.
Because that's why. Yeah.
What a-
But now
All
your
right.
actual answer.
Actual answer. Okay. No bullshit. Okay. I'm gonna say it's because of recent events in the offseason. I think right now it's the Chargers. And
That's fair.
it's not because I don't think the Broncos can have a record-setting season again, which they very well could. I do think the Jonathan Cooper thing is a bigger deal on that defense just because it's a defender that teams aren't game planning for along with Benito. But I do think the Chargers have a very universal and very adaptable front that I think that right now on paper, I would say Chargers.
Cody. Thank you. It's Broncos by a mile, even with Cooper. I mean, Khalil Mack has had 1 10-sack season since 2018. Mesidor is still a rookie, so we don't actually know what he's going to do.
Khalil Mack had 17 sacks 2 seasons ago.
I said he had 1 10-plus sack season, so it would be that 17-sack season. So since
Got it.
2018, he's had more than 10 sacks once. And that was, the 17-sack season. But that's also a 36-year-old who is good, but he's not what he used to be. Thule is legit, and then Mesidor's still a rookie. Like, I'm still going to go with Benito. I'm still going to ride with Zach Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Half a season of Cooper unless he gets cut.
Well, there you go. That's actually the news. That is very true what Trav just said. Coop's not going to may miss no time because his trial is getting pushed until next year.
Interesting.
So
That's not
that's
a
still
great
that's
look
still-
for the league, but okay.
The NFL doesn't care.
Yeah,
That's very true.
That's
The NFL decides the law.
yeah.
But I do think it's like Broncos, gap, Chargers, massive gap, and then the Chiefs, Raiders are just chilling with pass rush. I think Chiefs interior might be the best in the division,
Uh-huh.
but it's not enough pass rush juice for me to have confidence in them. So I'm still riding with the Broncos. If Mesidor does ball out, I think we have a conversation, but it's hard for me to put that stock in a rookie right now, thinking he's going to have that kind of sack production.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to. I love Thule. I picked him as our play. I picked him as the player of the week multiple times last season, so I am a huge fan of Thule. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased here. I'm also going Denver, and again, it's Nick Benito, Zach Allen, the pressure. I get it. I love JFM. I was definitely sad to see him go, but I do think Denver has enough to recoup and rejuvenate what we may lose from him. So I'm sticking with Denver on this one. And they'll get 73 sacks. Q.
All right.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Austin.
No, I was just going to say, which I got out, so we're good.
Okay, cool. I have a last one, and then we'll go home. So a bold take.
Well, Ethan's got to pick his.
Oh, sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
I'm a homer. I'm going to say the Chargers, but I explained it a long time ago. I actually think it is Denver, like if I'm being totally honest, but I like the Chargers as a whole. So I'm just going to pick them for vibes.
Love that.
Hey,
It's better than the Raiders fans saying the Raiders. Like at least I think Chargers they were 10th in sacks last year, so it's not a stretch.
and would be the first to tell. It's kind of like how I think the division is going to play out with the Broncos and Chargers. Like it's closer than some would actually say. Like I still think Denver and Chargers could still,
It's a lot of splitting hairs at this point. So
yeah.
all right, what's a bold take for your defensive front? Quickly, Corey.
I already said it. They're going to get 73.
73.
Yeah.
They're going to get the Barry Bonds 73.
Actually, I'll go. Okay, you want the bold take? They're going to have 75 on the dot.
Nice. Okay, 75. Austin, what's your bold take for your defense?
My bold take is both of Chiefs rookie D linemen have 10+ sacks each.
Nice. All right, Ethan.
I think Derwin James has 5+ sacks.
Okay.
That's not really that bold though, right? Like he gets that.
All right.
That's like the starting line.
Like go out and say he's gonna have like.
How about this? I'll do my real bold one. Derwin James will finish top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting next year.
Top
That's not
3.
even D line.
But that's still, I mean, we can count that, whatever.
Oh, do you want me to do a D-line one? Sorry, I missed it. I was responding.
You can use that Derwin James one next week.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do a D-line one. I think Tuli Tuipulotu breaks 15.
Nice. All right. It's a good one.
I do too. I like that guy so much.
Yeah, I think he breaks 15. I think he keeps ascending. He had 13.5 last year. I think with the Mesidor addition, because Adafe Owe was only there for about half the year, and Mac was out during that time. And when it was the two of them, like Tuli exploded. I think he ended up having like 8 sacks in the final 9 games. I could see him just like absolutely dominating. So I'm going to say 15.
Yeah, my favorite thing of Tuli, though, is like when you see him get off the bus, he doesn't look like a dude who's about to eat your ass at like quarterback pressures and sacks and stuff.
It's 10 o'clock here, Cody. Anything can be happening now.
That's true. It's a little like, but he doesn't look like, you don't look at him and you're like, dude, he's a dominant ass edge rusher, right? Like, but he's just, I don't know. He doesn't look like someone who should be good, and then like you just like underestimate him and he just surprises you.
I see Brandon join at the right time.
Exactly. Always a
Brandon's
good one.
like, dang, I was late to this party.
He's like, what? Mine is the Raiders will have between 40 and 50 sacks by the end of the year. Yeah,
They'll have what? Wait, hang on. Repeat that. They're going to what?
Have somewhere between 40 and 50 sacks by the end of the season.
They had 37 last year.
They did. That's so fair. They're going to have to go up.
I'll take it. That's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Denver, Trav.
With an R. You're right.
Well, it had our logo behind it on the screen, so reading hard.
Reading is hard. You're right.
Let's go home.
Let's go home, boys. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching West War Room Rivals, your favorite AFC West show. Down below, you'll see the links right there for all the social media stuff. Don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel. And Trav said, hot take, Raiders will have the second best pass rush in the AFC West. Trav, you're a guy that knows ball, bud. I appreciate it.
I don't know. Hey, that's what we have hot takes for. Go for it.
Hey, we put Brandon's out there from
That's right.
Ravens 0-17. Brandon, your 0-17 take is out there, my man.
Love it. All right, guys. Shout out to the boys on the screen. Shout out to Field Ops for sponsoring the show, and Emporia State Federal Credit Union, as you can see in the corner. And shout out to Jeff and the crew, JBW Solutions Studios. That's where we're recording out of. Go visit jbwsolutionsllc.com today for all of your safety, compliance, and OSHA regulations. We will be back tomorrow night with a special guest, my buddy Michael Davis, who had some words for Justin Herbert a couple weeks ago for Ethan. I'm sure they'll have a fun time chit-chatting about the Cowboys and the Chargers tomorrow night. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you guys then.
They're the exact same quarterbacks.
They're the same teams.
I know. Can't wait, guys. Tune in tomorrow. We'll see you then.